What are you walking through right now? What is it that is on the horizon that's causing you to go, ooh, this is going to be rough? Knowing the truth about suffering will help you not to escape it, but to walk through it, knowing that God is purposely and systematically putting you to death. Here's what Rick Thomas wrote: dying to yourself is the hardest thing that you will ever learn. Before we get into learning that, you say, what do you mean dying to myself? I'm supposed to pick up your cross, follow after Jesus Christ, be dead to self, put your hand on the plow, don't look back, let the dead bury their own dead. The gospel is a free gift, but that doesn't mean that there is not a command in the gospel that says you must die to your own way of living. You must be done with you and start living for Him. Dying to yourself is the hardest thing you will ever learn, and it's not a one-time appointment with God. Death to self is a repeated act of submitting yourself to the Lord. The good news is that He helps you in this lifelong process by incrementally, systematically, and purposely putting you to death. You and I are influenced by what Mom and Dad said. Go to school, get a good education, get a good job, you'll buy a good house, you got yourself a good spouse, raise good kids, and life will be sweet. Make no mistake about it, those things are sweet, but those really aren't the things that God is after. Those are baubles. That's a sideshow. What God is trying to do is take the vilest, the most wretched, the most wicked sinners, forgive them, and then incrementally change them by having them die to their own ways so they can look the way that He created them to look, like image bearers, dare I say, let's be careful here, like God. Your purpose in life is to get saved, Ephesians 2, 1 through 10, and then it is to do the works that God has assigned for you to do to bring Him glory. And that also means internal work, where we are constantly being sanctified so that we can look like God. Not become gods, but to partake of His divine nature, to enjoy it and to be affected and changed by it. Your purpose in life is to look like your Maker. Rick Thomas continues, did you know God is working behind the scenes to undermine any remaining self-reliance in you so that you will be able to trust Him more effectively? Exhibit A for this kind of teaching, the Apostle Paul. He had a God-ordained difficult life. Paul said, God gave me a thorn. He gave me some sort of suffering, some sort of painful experience, probably health. It could have been some really nasty people inside of the church. Regardless, God appointed it to him. Paul begged him to remove it, and God said, nope, because I want better things for you, and you need this, Paul. Paul's understanding of the mysteries of suffering gives you a sober question to ponder. What animates your innermost thoughts? What drives your most important desires? Is it your amazement at knowing Christ and being known by Him? Or is it your personal desire for a better kind of life than what you are currently living? Paul had a different set of priorities. He wanted to know Christ and make Him known. That was it. And how God used that clay vessel to showcase Paul's weakness so that God's strength could be made great. Paul said, okie dokie. I'm paraphrasing. Okie dokie. Because that is the better thing. Because God is doing higher things, grander things with you. Knowing Christ and being able to tell others about Christ was the purpose of Paul's life. This singular, animating passion did not coexist with a desire to overcome his problems. He knew better. He perceived the point of his problems, which were to enable him to more effectively put Christ on display by being weak, so that God is strong. And in order for you to look weak, God might give you something you can't handle. No, that's not right. I've seen that bookmark. God never gives you more than you can handle. I've got a poster. Well, you might have it on a poster, but you don't have that in your Bible. What we are learning is that it is the exact opposite of God never giving us too much. God regularly gives us too much so that we look like nothing and He looks like everything.